made it.
That was a miracle. 2 minutes ago, Louise had no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I have very weak Wi-Fi. I haven't had internet for the last hour, and yeah, so it's like really it's a miracle. There was no time to get ready or anything. It's like fly on, play the song. Hello, we are here before Facebook puts us out because we are too late. Okay, so yeah, I knew I couldn't go on, even if I managed to. I knew I couldn't go on by myself because I know that this subject is very important to you too. This whole not forming a bond with your mother and then actually being unaware of it. I don't know if you've been aware of it, but I've been very unaware of it for the biggest part of my life. And then having unexplained problems, for really intelligent, looking together, people who are successful or the other side when you're a rebel and you don't even try, but still all these unexplained problems in life.
You mean physical problems, health problems, and mental problems?
Yeah. Were you aware when you were small and young, when you were young, that your mother didn't bond with you, or was it just that looking for constant approval and connection thing?
Honestly, Louise, I don't have very much memory of my childhood below kind of teenage years. So one thing I do remember is my mother always telling me that I was her favorite child and how much she loved me. And yet when I look back, I can only remember actually things like just feeling so much pain because there was screaming and shouting in the house or whatever was going on. I just wanted to disappear. And I think that's when I started disassociating already very young. I remember my mother driving me around trying to kill herself because my father hadn't come home and her sitting at the window with me. I was like her mother when I was very young. Was I aware? I think when I was very young, I wasn't aware at all. I thought my mother was amazing and I thought she thought I was amazing. But I do remember feeling a lot of pain as a child, emotional pain, but I honestly can't pinpoint an age on that. It was probably over 10 years old.
Yeah, I think that my attention has been so distracted by my father being an alcoholic. It took such a big place in our life. I honestly, until I was about 21 and a psychologist took a few months to get me to the realization that I was abandoned by my mother. Well, I mean, the lovely lady was present in my life, and being wonderful and everything to everybody else, but not connected to me. And up until that day, I knew I had problems, but I was convinced that every single problem had to do with my father, him being an alcoholic, me feeling all the shame, feeling like my life was completely out of control. Then I went and I replaced my father with a boyfriend and who became my husband, who was an alcoholic. But at that stage, I didn't know it, except it managed to get me to a psychologist, because I didn't go so that she could fix me. I went so that she could fix him. But yeah, like everybody else. But I mean, we never got to that stage, because when she, I don't think I will ever forget this day, because she was showing me those butterflies pictures and stuff, and I cannot remember much of what we talked about. There wasn't much. There was long silences, very long silences, during which I came up with enough stuff so she could say to me, my mother, the concept of what is abandonment. And then she asked me, so what did your mother do? and the sky fell in. And I said, she abandoned me. I never went back to her. It was too much. She didn't give me a single tool. She didn't explain. She didn't make it for me. She didn't package for me in a way in which I could handle it. So just never went back. Didn't get around to fixing the alcoholic husband either because it was just too much for me. But and even after that, I parked it there somewhere because what must I do with it? It was like, tough luck. I've taken so much responsibility for my mother over the years. This poor woman who had an alcoholic husband, who was kicked out of the church, who had to work so hard because he wasn't paying money, and she had these health problems, and then she was addicted to attunement, and she was on her bed a lot whenever we saw her, she was on her bed and she had back pain. And there outside in the world, she had these friends who adored her. They loved her. And she was so much to them. And so I've taken that responsibility for her so early on, but I still didn't make anything of it. And even after this woman told me this, I didn't know what to do with it. So I just kept on feeling sorry for my mother and taking responsibility for her and never ever talked about it, addressed it. Because if you just hear this without anybody explaining to you what it means and giving you tools, for heaven's sake, give us some tools so that we know what to do with abandonment. You can't just tell somebody they've been abandoned. Go, the session is over, end of your hour, cheers. Really. So, but there was this hole in my life. And I did come to terms with it because I started remembering that I started noticing that the physical contact, the hugs, the saying, I love you, like this. Look, knowing who the heck I was, because I was my father's child and therefore a child of the devil, and I was never going to amount to anything, and that was her story. And that's what she said to me. So that hole was there. I just didn't know it was the abandonment hole. And it was
I didn't know. Actually, I didn't know I had an abandonment hole until 2017 when I got cancer and I did that shadow questionnaire, and my biggest shadow came up as this abandonment stuff. Because also in my family, my father was the bad guy, actually. And it wasn't until he died, actually, that we saw that there was another whole side to the relationship, actually. Yeah, and the interesting thing is how this plays out in our bodies. I mean, I think that's what triggered this post, was how that, so it's such unprocessed trauma because it's unknown. We don't know until we know.
But the abandonment wound, the biggest part of it, there's the dots and the dots and the dots. So you have this abandonment wound, and therefore you don't finish your stages of growing up, because that's where you start from. And now you have all these limiting beliefs, and you do not believe you are lovable. Full stop. Because if your mother do not show you unconditional love, and if your mother doesn't know who you are, then you do not believe that you are lovable. And that is the one, honestly, that stays hidden the longest. I've been doing summit recordings, and one of the people that I've been talking to, Bruce Anderson, is a hypnotherapist who specializes in this stuff. And, he works with the deepest insight. Amazing. I can't wait for people to hear this next week. But one of the things that he said is exactly this one, that it's the one that hides from us, being lovable, being able to receive love. That one.
Well, I didn't even know that till I got into this relationship now. And because some of us cover up not feeling lovable and not feeling okay by being success or educating ourselves or being busy or distracting ourselves or addicting. And yeah, and in fact, it still is something I deal with every day of my life, feeling that I'm not good enough and I'm unlovable. And yeah, this relationship I've been in now
Listen to
for
this
2 years
one.
is,
Yeah,
huh?
but just listen to this one. Just take this one in for a second. Take this one in.
Sorry?
Not able to receive love. I mean, how big is that?
Oh
Not being
gosh,
able to receive
it's
it.
enormous.
Mm, yeah. So, and that's an interesting one, because it's one thing to start believing that you're lovable. It's one thing to start accepting yourself and loving yourself and making that transition, but not able to receive love. That takes us again to the other subject that we are currently talking about, which is emotional unavailability, because not able to receive love is
Mhm.
part of emotional unavailability, and
Yep.
then not believing that somebody can really love you.
Yeah, and I think I'm emotionally unavailable. I posted that on your group, and I didn't know it until recently, actually, because I've always had really good relationships with friends, but now with a very intimate relationship, I've had to really look this in the face and go, sure, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe I'm not emotionally available.
but it can be fixed. Okay, so all right, so now we connect the dots. We haven't finished our first core attachment. We need a core attachment in order to feel safe in the world. Now, because I flew onto Facebook in the last minute, I didn't upload the cover, but on the cover of this video is a lot of stuff that we've been talking about it, and there's a lot of the hiding stuff that we do. So it's the hiding in this, hiding in the next guru, hiding in spiritual stuff, hiding, but also over involvement in this, and under feeling this, refusing to feel, refusing to look at trauma, refusing to work through the trauma. Hmm. And it's exactly these conversations that we're having, that we are taking it and we're looking at it from a clinical, technical, kind of logical way that starts to unpack this whole um, unavailability that we have. But there are actually really practical ways to actually get to the place where we stop believing that we are not lovable and that we are so fatally flawed that we never can be loved, and therefore it's impossible for us to accept love because we're not going to keep it, because we're not lovable. Because if
First, got to
you,
see it in yourself. So, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but don't take it as it's done. It can't be fixed. It can be fixed. But it's first awareness. This is why we're having these conversations. Well, we create the awareness. The real deep therapy, I'm not going to give anybody that real deep therapy here. This is for when we do the one-on-one work, because you need that safety net where you can actually go so deep that you are there, you are willing to go there and work through this, because we are talking about our biggest trauma, which is to our first and most important biologically wired connection. So development problems, and then we sit with the trauma inside us, we sit with the fears, the abandonment fears in us, the fear of experiencing feelings, because it's devastating to be so small and not have a bond. And we know it for some sort of way, we know it. And I didn't know it cognitively until much later, when I started talking to my mother about her history and how she got married with my father and why she stayed married when she didn't already knew she didn't want to stay married. Yeah, because I was on my way. I was the one who kept her trapped in this relationship. And she really wanted a child, so she stayed. But you know what? I don't think that actual blame ever went away until the end, until we fixed our relationship. But children know Children absolutely know. If my cat can know, then a little 2-year-old can know. That is, we don't remember it. The children know. And then, like you say, next step, then we get sick. And this is what the research is showing. And the research are definitely showing that there's such a connection between unresolved trauma and getting sick of all these strange illnesses, this immunosuppressed stuff, and things we don't actually have names for, and it's different for everyone. And
Yeah,
sometimes
thank goodness the research is starting to show this now, because people have no idea actually that if you do not see the trauma and you don't work on it, you are going to be sick. It's going to be one thing or another, and it can take a long time to become cancer or diabetes or a heart attack. But yeah, it's astounding actually. I mean, some of the research is showing that up to 80% of illnesses are mind and emotional based. And so if you're operating with that unresolved trauma, which you don't even know you have, it's the suppressions, all there was stuff I didn't know until the last 4 years. I never knew I was resentful or bitter or angry. I never had an angry moment in my life until I realized through my therapy with you, actually, how I wasn't just angry, I was more than furious, actually. But it had been so suppressed, and that's when it starts affecting our immune system and our hormones and our autoimmune system now, or our nervous system. It's like, sure, no wonder the whole world is sick. So many people are sick because there's so much of this unresolved stuff, because people are too busy to even know that it's going on within themselves, or they don't want to look at it. So it's very important.
Yeah. We're scared to look at it because the trauma was to the little child who didn't have the ear. Somebody wasn't there to hear it, to transform it into something that the little child could handle. So the little child's enormous pain is what keeps us from working through it as an adult. And as an adult, your experience of this pain is never going to be as debilitating as to a little helpless 2-year-old just born, 4-year-old, 6-year-old, 8 years old. Your experience as an adult, especially if you are with somebody who supports you and helping the tools. There are tools that helps us sort through trauma, So if you don't try and do it alone, which is another stupid thing that we always try and do, is we want to work it alone. We want to go through it alone. If you do it with support, a group, or with somebody who actually understands all of this, then there's a safe place for you to go to. There's somebody who's
also, I don't know if you can even do it alone, because sometimes, honestly, we can't see what we can't see, Louise. So if you don't know there's trauma, like you're just operating. I only went there because I got cancer. So, and people don't need to get cancer to start realizing they got trauma and to get help. But if you're feeling persistently ill, I would say, with some kind of autoimmune disease or something that just won't go away, even though you're kind of healthy, you have to ask yourself, possibly there's something that still
I had
needs.
6 years of non-stop migraines. 6 years. It was okay. And I did have a neck injury, so there was a mechanical part of it. But I have so successfully distracted me from what I nearly knew, which is what Oprah says. What is it that you nearly know? Such a powerful question. What is it that you nearly know? So I distracted myself so successfully from that. Because first was my father, that was the problem. Then it was my husband who was the problem. Then I overworked myself, complete workaholic. And nowhere along the line, and I was healthy. I was healthy. I never went to the doctor. The first time I actually really started experiencing that I have to go to a doctor was when my migraine started after a car accident. But I was as strong as a horse, and I used to say to everybody, I never get sick. And I never got sick. So you can get away with this for a long time. A long time. And now one of my I don't believe in living in regrets, because whatever is over, I can't change it. But one of my biggest lessons, and which is still a hardship for me until today, is my adrenals have been packed up. I cannot handle stress before I have a burnout and I fall apart. And I have, I've got a thyroid cyst, and there's just so many things that I had to wade through to get to a place where I'm now functioning. The brain fog is gone. I can function again, and I have energy again. It took a long, long time, and I did it to myself. I was completely unaware. I did it to myself. That is the sad thing. So you can be
And
really,
the other thing is the doctors can't diagnose something on that level, actually, like allopathic doctors. So it also becomes a cycle then, hey, because you're not well, you're not okay, but all the tests show there's nothing wrong with you. It's it's so interconnected, everything, our mind, body, and our spirit, our souls, and that, yeah. And yeah, I
I,
mean, my mother tried to abort me, and so I already, before I even came into the world, and it wasn't her fault. She was young and all that. We've talked about that on my interview, but that already before I was even born, I had an abandonment issue.
yeah, I don't actually
I
know
was,
which one of your 3 interviews was aired. So I don't actually know that you have said this on air. Did you?
I don't know. I'm not
I
sure.
don't
I
think
don't know
you.
if I've ever
Yeah,
said it.
but now you have. Okay. And
I
this
have
is
said it
live.
now, yeah. And I think that I was a very, very, very healthy person, a very strong person. I mean, that's the interesting thing. We also often present as very strong. I mean, I was like, geez, I was exercising. I could move my whole house on my own. I could do such physical stuff. I was a really fit person on many levels until until I got fibromyalgia. That's when it started, actually.
Okay,
And
let's
now
continue.
they're saying almost unequivocally that fibromyalgia is from unprocessed trauma, actually, or
Yeah.
unhealed trauma.
Yeah. This is why I love Lisa Rankin so much, because she, as a medical doctor, realized that she just couldn't do this 10 minutes, write a prescription, offer people, go. She started noticing that people needed time, and they needed to, she just couldn't carry on with that culture of, here's your prescription, go. Because she recognized that so many illnesses had to do with what's going on in your head. That is why I've been following her for years, and so we are quoting from her post today. And this is as a medical doctor. And that's why I follow somebody like Mark Hyman, who fixed his own life, but he had to walk into a wall and had to be sick. He had a lot of autoimmune kind of diseases. His sister died, I think, got cancer. Or I don't know if she died, but she got cancer. And so he had to work through all of that emotional stuff. And he also recognized that part of it. And so we are doctors, we are functional doctors now who don't want to do it the old way anymore, and we are hoping that more and more of people are going to catch up, because it's like you say, I have not been to a doctor, and even when I went to a medical doctor who was a homeopath, he only wanted to worry about the candida, which I didn't have. He never ever said anything about this emotional connection. It's under, it's, I mean, it's available out there, but it's just not fitting into the diagnosis process at the moment. And how can you figure that out if you see somebody for 10 minutes? So we have to
No,
be
but I mean,
aware.
yeah, we have to be aware of it. And thanks to psychoneuroimmunology, there's actually a proper medical science out there now studying it and researching it. And so because people also don't trust this kind of stuff when you say it. They say, oh, it's soft and fluffy. But psychoneuroimmunology looks at the actual chemical process changes in your body and your hormonal changes when you operate in a certain way. And it's not always high level stress. It's like, yeah, just not feeling good enough about yourself, or all of that stuff really, really has an impact physically on your body.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but
people
research
need
has
to
been
know
done.
that.
Yeah, if you are for 3 months, only 3 months of your life, in helpless and hopeless, your brain chemicals change and you become susceptible to cancer. And if you continue down this way where you keep on messing up your relationships and you keep on working harder and you keep on going after something that can distract you, you keep on refusing to look at the hole inside you and the deep pain inside you, your brain chemicals are going to change. You are going to become susceptible to cancer. That's just one thing. That's not even the all those underlying autoimmune kind of diseases. Autoimmune means your body is fighting itself. 2 and 2 makes 4. Why?
And
Why are
heart
you
disease, Louise, heart disease, diabetes. And that's why often, Dr. Ian Weinberg's a South African neurosurgeon in Joburg, actually, and he's studied and puts out applied psychoneuroimmunology. And his workshop's amazing, actually. And he says often when men retire, particularly men, when they retire, they lose all their meaning and purpose. So they become hopeless, helpless. And so many of them die so quickly after that because they just can't find a meaning.
It is his research that I've been quoting. Because
okay.
he did.
Oh, is it? Sorry, your sound's been.
Yeah, it's from him, and it's from the workshops that he does at the Buddhist retreat. Because I wasn't there myself, I was very deep in helpless and hopeless, and I was actually a roadkill at the time. But just before that moment was a moment when I, with some inner wisdom inside myself, said, "Have to walk out of a relationship. I cannot do this to myself anymore. It's too toxic." That was that thought before I actually knew about the research. And so, there was just the inner part of me that knew, if I keep on living like I'm living now, I am going to become so sick that I will not recover from it. Okay, so let's go to some comments. Right? Okay. All right, people, let's keep going with those hearts there. We like those hearts there. Remember, Facebook, we're going to share this to more people if you give us some hearts. Okay. Yeah, but the self-loathing is a lesson. It's it's more than that, Paul. It's not a lack of self-esteem. We've got to go back. We've got to go back 2-3 steps to get there. Yes, that's it. So if you, as a child, have not been loved unconditionally, you, as a little child, have only one option. Be younger than 7, you have one option, because your primary role is to keep your mother happy. So your one role is this: please your mother. Your father to a lesser degree, but biologically we are wired to please our mother so they don't leave us alone when we die. And you will blame yourself. You will decide. You are fatally flawed. You are not good enough. You are not acceptable. And that is the basis of low self-esteem. So it's that primary relationship, first and foremost. And look, it can also happen in other ways. I mean, it can simply happen from a mother upping and leaving when you're 2 years old. There again, the bond is broken. And if she's going to up and leave you behind, then did she have a bond with you to start with? That's a good question.
And Dr. Rankin also says it can be minor trauma, not even just big trauma. Sometimes the small things also can.
Yeah, I agree with you, Robert. Not one more moment. It really is. That's why we're so passionate about this, isn't it, Antoinette?
Yeah, well, yeah, yes. I got very sick because of all of this. So I'm sitting here as a live case study.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can also get better by healing it. So
yeah, you can, and you can. It's the ultimate thing that happens is that it comes to you, that your body, whatever your body is telling you, comes to you as a gift. It's the ultimate thing. You can only be as strong as a horse up to a point. If your emotional life is not good, sooner or later your body is going to start talking to you. And that's just something that we actually have to make peace with. And then maybe take all of that together with all new knowledge and put it all together, because next week, from Monday, the Adult Child Syndrome Summit is airing. And so it's don't talk, feel, and trust, which is like, hello, isn't that what we've been doing most of our lives? Because don't talk, we don't know we have a voice. Don't trust, because, people are going to hurt us and judge us and abandon us. And don't feel. This is what we're talking about right now. Don't feel, because if you are going to uncover your trauma, you have to feel. So it's the biggest. I was really ambitious to put this together, because I should have probably have waited to have a little bit more summit experience. So I shouldn't just probably have just jumped in the second summit that I did. And I went after the really big offer and some amazing professional people. And yes, they are joining and they're doing it. And the sole purpose is for us to understand that there has been people with an enormous amount of trauma. And they tell their stories of trauma. And each and every one of them have got a method, a way of getting through it. And that's why I love doing these things, because when I can tell you about a little 5-year-old, or she can tell you a little 5-year-old has been gang raped and tied up in a burning garage. And she's here today and she's worked through that trauma. I promise you, it didn't kill her. What will kill you is that thing where you keep it bottled up. It will kill you some way or another. And if it doesn't kill you, you're going to die bitter, alone, resentful, in victimhood. Angry, or sad, or depressed, or anxious. None of those are feelings we need to feel. We can actually work through all of them and we can leave them behind and get emotional freedom.
Yeah, it's not a 1-minute journey. It takes some time, but it's really worth it.
Yeah. And we just have to start at one point. We don't have to work so absolutely hard at it. We just have to start somewhere. Because then life, like you say with this relationship, we think we are great, we are fine, we are so sorted. What's going on with Muffin tonight? Normally she's quiet on my lap and nobody knows she's here. So we just have to start at one point. Start being willing to address it. Start working in your awareness. Once you know stuff, you can't unknow it. Finish, and that's just how it is. You cannot unknow it. And then life will actually really organically give you your next lesson. And your next lesson, you don't have to go look for it. You have to start with awareness and being willing to feel and get some help. Because I really agree with you, Antoinette. It's hard to do this job because of all our blind spots and because of all our distractions and because we so much love our thoughts. What we believe must be truth. No, it's not. It's just what you believe. Not every thought that you believe is the truth. So deal with it. Make peace with it. You have a lot of thoughts in your head that you have been walking around with and living with, which are the 5-year-old, 6-year-old, who was really hurting.
Yeah, yes, I love that. If we can see that in each other and have compassion for each other. Yeah.
But that comes naturally. When you don't love yourself, you have so many judgments. You have so many blame. So you blame easily. You guilt people easily. You emotionally manipulate people. You use your anger. Once you start loving yourself, the cup overflows. You just have it to give to other people. Your judgments disappear. Your judgments are connected to you. You have judgments. You have stuff inside yourself that you have not looked at your dark places and accepted it as necessary and part of you. That's where judgments are coming from. Okay, I think we're about to finish off, eh?
If you want to.
Miracle of internet that has worked with me tonight.
In fact, most of the time my mind lies, so I've got to constantly go, come on, mind.
You have to check your belief system. It's your job as an adult. It's to go and like, is this true? That's why when you do, it's Melody Beatty, I think, who no, it's not. It's, what's it? No, I've forgotten her name. One of the backwards front name. Do the work. When you do the work, your biggest thing is to do all the time is ask questions, ask questions, ask questions.
Oh, Byron Katie.
Yes. Back to front name. Yeah. Do the work, because what she does is, the work. That's Byron Katie. Do the work. Ask questions. Don't believe everything that you hear. Don't believe everything you think. Do the work. Ask questions. Is this true? Is this a thought that is serving me? Is this a thought that I need in my life? How can I change it? What's the lesson?
And the interesting thing, Robin and I were discussing today on voice messages, how also when your head runs the show all the time, your intuition and your soul are not running the show. And when you're not in alignment with your heart and your intuition and your soul, life ain't going to be okay.
Mm.
So sometimes, even now, I still get confused because my head disagrees with my heart, or my intuition. And so it's about retraining that your brain, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to finish off. Anybody still has comments, please post them, because we're going to finish off just now.
Thank you for being here, Robin. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Blessings to you too. Okay, so I'm going to invite all of you. I'm going to post the link to next week's summit. And if you're on my mailing list, it was in today's email. Okay. And sign up for the summit. And tomorrow I'm going to send a special deal out. An amazing deal. Okay. So go sign up for the summit so that you can get that amazing deal. And so we've got some absolutely awesome. I'm just like, today I got a voice note from somebody who did a testimonial for me about 11-day limiting beliefs course that I'm doing. And what it actually turned out into was the fact that she found me through the last summit and how the layers of the onion started unpeeling as she was listening to all these speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Muffin. Okay, muffin. But so it's actually now turned into a testimonial for the summit. So I need to go and post it so that everybody can listen to it, because we are talking, 3 months ago? And I can't even recognize this amazing woman and where she started from and where she's now. I'm talking 3 months ago, The summit and the limiting beliefs challenge. And yeah, so put your attention where you want to go. I promised you, the content of this summit, it is for free. You can just go and watch it for free. I want you all. Tell me there in the comments. I'm going to sign up, please. Okay, give me some thumbs ups there on the little hearts. Antoinette, you can't see the hearts, can you? On your side. I like them. Yeah, you guys are really good tonight with those hearts and those likes and those thumbs up. So thank you guys for that. And please go share. And every single summit interview that I finished, I have asked everybody, please share, please share, please share. Because we have this huge message that we want to get out there. It's trauma. We're talking about trauma. We're talking about childhood trauma. We talk about a way in which you can fix it. It doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to define you for the rest of your life. By this time, I think you all know how very passionate I am about it. Please go sign up and make space next week for watching those interviews. You're not going to be sorry. Okay, Antoinette, while I'm looking for the
Thank
video.
you.
Okay, Robin, yes, there you go. I love it. Okay, I'm going to post it just now. Internet must just keep. Okay, so Antoinette, you finish off here while I'm looking for the video.
Oh, just say good night.
No. That wasn't supposed to.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I am sorry about that. Okay, all right. Lots of love to all of you. Okay, remember now, go watch for that link, sign up. And if you're not on my mailing list yet, send me your email because I want you to be on my mailing list so you can hear about all this fabulous, amazing resources. Okay. Thank you, Antoinette. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Lots of love to you.
Good night. You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.